it okay to take pictures? Yes, take all the pictures you would like. Alright, just didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Captain Brandon Cordell. I'm the number 4 pilot, and I fly in the slot, the diamond formation during all the demos. I'm United States Marine Corps, so typically on the Blue Angel, for pilots, there's always one Marine within the F-18 demo itself. Last year it was kind of rare. We actually had 2 Marines. Last year I flew number 3 off the left wing and then moved to the slot for this year. Obviously what you see here is these are our actual Blue Angel F-18s, the same ones you'll see flying in the demo. These F-18s are the oldest of the F-18s you will ever see fly. Basically what happens is we get a gray F-18 from the fleet after it's done all its aircraft carrier landings, and it's trap life is what they call it. Once it's landed so many times, they say it no longer can land anymore on the aircraft carrier. We get that aircraft, we go and strip it down, we put a nice fancy paint job on it, but what is very hard to see is in the cockpit itself, it is actually one of the oldest looking F-18s that you'll see. And when I came from the fleet flying the Legacy Hornet, which is this Hornet right here, and when I actually got inside of this aircraft, I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me! This is pretty old. So, but that's actually a good thing for us, because what we really want is we want our brothers and sisters in the fleet to have the latest and greatest of technology, and really all we need is to strip down F-18 that's very light and very fast. And that's what you see here. Roughly our on deck weight right now, as you see, is right around 25,000 pounds, 24,000 pounds. Add another 8,000 or 9,000 pounds of gas in there, and we're seeing right around 35,000 pounds on deck, which is very light for the F-18 Hornet. Again, about 10,000 of that's going to be fuel. Our fleet F-18s, typically we'll see right around 45,000 or 50,000 pounds on deck when you start hanging external fuel tanks, any type of weapons, any type of combat systems in the aircraft itself. This aircraft, compared to your fleet F-18 Hornet, is like a race car. I consider my fleet F-18 to be compared to this kind of a dog in the air. It's kind of sluggish, which is kind of hard to say about a fighter aircraft as being very sluggish. But when you pin it up against this aircraft, this aircraft is much more lighter, much faster than what you see in the fleet. The F-18 itself, for G's, everyone always hears about the G forces, and I know all of you are very familiar with the G forces. What we are capable of pulling in this aircraft is right around 8 G's, 8 times the force of gravity. And basically what that feels like, if you've never felt a G, it basically, at 8 times the force of gravity, it takes all the blood and it kind of sucks it out of your brain, wants to pull it up down to your feet. Now on the fleet, we wear G suits. So what the G suit is, it's basically, looks like chaps the cowboy would wear. They zip up, plugs into the aircraft, and then anytime we go over about 4 G's, bladder of air fills up, squeezes your abs, squeezes your legs all the way down to your calves, and just squeezes your whole body and tries to force that blood up into your head and up into your heart and above while you're under G's. Well, in the Blue Angels, we don't wear G suits. What that requires of the pilots here is we're required to work out about 6 days a week with a focus on basically all your the latest and greatest of core type workouts. So we do all that because without the G suit, what we do to counteract that is we just try to build up muscles in our abs and our legs and our calves and everything. So when we go under G forces, we'll squeeze all those muscles as hard as we can and pinch off all the blood vessels there and keep that blood from pooling down in the bottom of our legs, so we don't end up passing out during the demonstration.
Wow.
Standard fleet F-18s is on the stick itself. There's a spring that attaches to the front of the stick, and that spring puts 40 pounds of force. So if you're flying around in your airplane, everybody always likes to fly around in 1G trimmed level flight, so you can fly the aircraft with 2 fingers and hands off, still maintains level flight. Well, for us, with a 40-pound spring on that, in order to fly straight and level, picture taking a dumbbell of 40 pounds and holding it up against your leg, and that'll hold you at level flight with 40 pounds of force pulling on a stick. So if I let go of the stick in flight, the jet's going to do about a negative 1.5 G pushover down. The reason we do that is because that is really what allows us to fly so close in flight. So if we had the jet trimmed out at 1G and no spring to counteract our movement there, what you have is a lot of null on the stick. I can move the stick kind of left and right, back and forth. The jet's really not going to move around that much. We don't want that at all. We want that 40 pounds of force so we can sit back, create a fulcrum with our arm, squeeze the stick, and just be able to fly the aircraft so precise with just pressures on our hand to be able to maneuver the aircraft. And that's how we get to fly so close. And in the demonstration, that close, we fly inside of 18 inches apart from each other.
Wow.
So just to give you a quick perspective of what that looks like, how much time are we looking at here?
We got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Just to give you a perspective of what 18 inches looks like, our right wingman and left wingman, when we're flying in a demonstration, my head underneath the right wing is my head. That's right about 18 inches. So if there were not a canopy over my head, I could basically sit up here and grab on the box jet or 2 or 3. So that's our 18 inches of separation. And there's only one way there's 2 ways we achieve that. The first is being just a continuous practice. We practice flying off number 1 box because I don't know, I haven't gained his trust yet that he's just not going to bank the aircraft suddenly on me. But as we practice and that trust builds up, I trust that I can go underneath his wings inside of 18 inches, and I trust no matter what, no matter if he sees a bird, another airplane, he is not going to ever make a sudden movement. Or if we hit turbulence, I know that he is going to hold the stick as hard as he can when we hit turbulence, and if I do the same, then we all should bounce around together. It's very weird because you're in turbulence, you're that close to each other, but that's how we fly so close. It's that trust factor combined with that added weight we have on the stick for stability, and that's how we end up flying that closely in the demonstration. So just a couple things about the F-18 Hornet itself, capable of roughly right around 32,000 pounds of thrust. This aircraft is actually known, when you stack it up against the F-15 Eagle, the F-22, the F-16, this is a relatively slow aircraft, but where we gain our strength over those other aircraft is our ability to fly so slow. So to kind of put that into terms, when you think of dogfighting, everyone always thinks that, hey, we want the most powerful aircraft you possibly can in a dogfight to be able to outpower the other guy, and that's not the case. If you picture, if you're in a dogfight, 2 airplanes, and each of them is trying to get behind the other one, the guy who's going faster, whoever, it's a race to the wall, whoever gets there first loses. So over time, if I can fly, this aircraft is 70 knots, and the Eagle can only fly at 100 knots, over time, it's eventually going to flush out in front of me, and then that's where we would be able to employ weapons in a dogfight scenario. So this aircraft is known for its superior flight control systems, not its thrust to weight ratio, but it still has an excess of 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio, and it's still a very fast jet. With that, anybody have any questions? I'm sure that probably sparks some questions. Yeah. Hey man, how are you? Lever, facing the window. Operate the lever to unlock it, pull the window out. Back in the corner, seat 8, simply pull in the window, similar to what you used to do with my chair. Something to unlock, find the handle, pull it in, get rid of it, back to the room. Take the aircraft out of the surface. Either in the bubble here, or over here. As soon as you hit the surface, head inside the pool, make your way to one of these 2 ladders. Exit the pool, right over here, these gentlemen are standing, stand on the number of the seat you just rode in. Do a quick debrief, rotate the seats around, and then you're going to fall in line behind the left pool, all next to the pool. Question. All these disentanglement, which this will be primary use. As soon as his feet get wet, he's going to grab his bottle, put that regulator in his mouth, breathe through his nose, and once he submerges, start breathing over that regulator. Once all vital motion stops, you can see them release and start coming out. Anybody have any questions?